So, hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Have the Race Gone for the IGTL 3 hours of St Croix from imaginary France. And we have been waiting to bring you this event, of course, the qualifying session for tonight, and of course after the qualifying session, both the smooth operator Traus 666, who is of course,
hey y'all,
he's by my side. We will be getting our hands full later on with the promo event. Of course, the main event, the race, will be tomorrow evening. And once again, it is a very stacked grid indeed. I think we can safely say
the least.
To say the least, the IGTL organizers keep pulling out these tricks out of their sleeves, and I don't really know how they keep on doing this, but it's indeed incredible. As we are watching right now, Mr. David Perel, who is in his own right a multiple times GT3 world champion. He is the GT3 lap record holder at Spa in real life. And he's here on Gran Turismo Sport racing with us in the IGTL tonight. It is a wonderful pleasure to have him along, of course. And we are expecting great things, I think, of course. And that's just to mention one of the newcomers who are incredibly skilled for tonight's event and tomorrow's race. And of course, a warm welcome to everyone out there joining us for the qualifying session already here. Of course, it's about, or should be, should I say, around 6 minutes before we get the actual qualifying session underway. I think it is with these events sometimes, as with concerts, musical concerts in real life, they never seem to keep the tightest of schedules. But let's take a look at some of the different drivers and different teams. So of course it's David Perel qualifying for the Perel Tonini team. He's joined by GT Alex 74 in this car, of course.
Can I just say real quick that I just noticed that they have our name on the rear of their car? That's pretty cool.
Oh.
See, in the blue?
I see, yeah. That's rad.
That's the peak of Half the Race Gone so far.
That's very much the peak of Half the Race Gone time. So we have a message from Kenny. We will be starting in just about 5 minutes.
So I'd say your estimation of 6 minutes was pretty good.
Yeah.
Getting off to a solid start here, the racers as well as the commentators, which is always a good indication for the weekend to come.
Yeah, that is most certainly correct. Now, to keep on presenting some of the teams, we of course, and I say of course because they have been there every time we have been broadcasting the IGTL. I'm of course talking about our good friends over at the Irius Racing team and their newly founded esports team, which is at the start line today with Olegna and Bellin, who also shared a car at the last IGTL race and who did quite well actually, and you'd also expect them to, because they are both very, very capable gentlemen behind
pretty much as good as it gets in GTSport. So we weren't surprised to see them doing well, and would be expecting that as well this weekend.
Indeed. Of course, also returnees seen before. It's the very well-known livery colors of the TX3 racing team. I have just a little side story that after buying one of the project cars, I actually just bought the entire season pass. That's completely besides the point. There were some of these TX3 liveries for some of the race cars in between, and I'd never seen them before, so I hadn't really thought about it when I saw the last TX3, and now it just looks like, as we see Skilla
execute a perfect 360 there,
perfect
just to give us something to talk about.
But
yeah, absolutely a TX3, a team that you certainly can't miss in sim racing, and yeah, it certainly was fun to notice that there were TX3 liveries in the official Project Cars 2 add-ons.
So
very cool indeed.
Indeed.
Aligned with the LDLs, the very largest of esports organizations.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what the exact nature of their partnership is, but very, very good to see, because LDLC has been around for a long time and is very well respected in other games as well.
Yeah, oh, that's true. So, of course, should I just mention before that Skiller is joined by TX3 Zuzu tonight. And tomorrow, of course, actually will be Skiller qualifying the car, and of course that means that Suzu is starting the race for the TX3 team tomorrow. Project One Racing is a newcomer of a team here, and they have Nico RD qualifying for them. And I think we'll have to look through our papers because, but it's not there yet. That's why, because we need
didn't finish it.
Because I didn't finish it. Yeah.
I see.
But it's the Project One Racing team. That's all we can say for now. EP Racing. They have Exo and Lucky is qualifying. And last time we did this, we had a lot of stuff to talk about with the cars and everything. This time it's all just the Group 3 Supra, who's just been released, I guess, in real life, the road car, the 2019 Supra, which is, of course, why it's being run today as a one-make to showcase that car. It is a very nice car, after all. Now let's take a look at...
let's take a look at our name on the back of another one of these very nice looking liveries.
Indeed. I think it's because we are coming up to the actual qualifying start. Yeah. And I'd like to take a little moment to say personal hellos to all the people who've joined us in chat, at least to Stevie, because he's a good mate of ours. And I'd like to say hello to Alex as well. I'd like to say hello to Martin from the NES. Yeah. And I'd like to say hello to Tichny.
Hi, Tichny.
Hey.
As always, impressively, we get quite a considerable number of participants in the events we broadcast live, which I'm always kind of dumbfounded by, because I certainly don't mess around with YouTube when I'm getting ready to do a race or even a qualifying session.
Says something about the skill level of these guys compared to the skill level of the plebs behind the microphone.
Similar to Nicky Team and other streamers in iRacing, where you see everyone else being full on focus and Nicky Team is just singing into a megaphone and looking for something on the ground and tying his shoe at the same time.
Anyway, I was just gonna say that McLaren 6, Mr. McLaren, is joined by Tichny himself in the business class racing.
Business class powered by BendyJet.
BendyJet, that is that's a good one, lads. And with that, it is qualifying time. So let's jump to track.
One team I don't think we should leave out even before the start here is, of course, the main team of the organizers, AS Monaco Racing, with Jomar and Kenny, as we see them here in the white and red AS Monaco Nike sponsored car. Certainly, outside of being organizers, they're also some of the stronger contenders in this series. They did very well in the first championship. They've done very well in both races we've broadcast so far, and certainly ones not to miss.
That is most certainly true. We have a little bit of a mix of a team, which it's the VBRC boys with Visual Quinton and BSR Grogas. I hope you're okay with our French, I guess.
I always feel like we're getting a lot of comments on our pronunciations, and indeed we already have. People think our pronunciation of Suzu is funny, and that we should say Suzu,
Zuzu,
Suzu,
Tutsu,
Tutsu,
Tutu,
Tutu, Desmond, you're sim racing, Mr. Tutu. I wasn't expecting this.
Tutsu, I don't know. That's weird for us Danes. That's difficult. That's like a
I feel like it should be Zuzu.
I think it's totally Zuzu as well. Anyways, we'll leave it. We'll call him Zuzu. We're free broadcasters.
Yet another subject for one of our famous strong callbacks that we don't ever do.
That we don't ever do whatsoever.
Turismo Defi here showed a very strong pace in practice, if I can reveal as much. So it's going to be interesting to see. He's also, I don't know if he's a newcomer to IGTL in general, but he's certainly a new guy for us. Yep. And as far as our relationship with the IGTL.
Indeed.
But he was flying in the practice before qualifying here.
Absolutely. It'll be really interesting. Now, a team that I have really been looking forward to seeing is, of course, our returnee from the 1985 F1 Grand Prix, which is, of course, best racer, second place finisher there, did a fantastic job. Fastest lap of the race, hugely talented driver, the Italian. He's teaming up with legendary, or for me at least, I feel he's legendary because I've been watching Viper Concepts videos for a long time. Yeah. And for me, Il Conde's guy, I've been watching that guy for years. It was probably some of the first content on Gran Turismo and one of the first drivers I ever saw on there. So he's teaming up with best racer here, and I think it'll be really great to see. It's the GTE team, of course.
Certainly also a very strong-looking team, and they are both Italians and should get along very nicely here. Have a bit of a flamboyant livery as well, so everything is well in Italy, and we're looking forward to see what they can produce.
Definitely so. And another returnee of a team is Black Flag Racing. And that's in turn with the BFR Supra qualifying the car today. And we'll be looking forward to seeing how he goes along. They were quite strong last time out. Maybe they needed just that last bit of pace compared to some of the very top teams, but were able to put their car to come the end of the race at Catalonia.
Yep.
The GTRS car is, of course, driven by GTRS Benjamin, and he's teaming up with Romain 0096, which in turn, there's no more ROM squared.
No more ROM squared, no. It's a bit of a shake-up here. Both drivers did very well as far as we've seen them, though. So I feel like this is going to be a strong team as well.
Yeah.
Experienced guys that have shown very, very good racecraft, if not qualifying pace. I guess they've done very well during the races. So
indeed. And then, of course, as mentioned before, Mr. David Perel, which is I was just about to call him one of the big unknowns before this race, but I think that's one thing we couldn't call him.
It's odd to call him that for sure, but he certainly would seem to be that. We haven't actually, I certainly haven't dug much into what he's done in GTSport, but I do know that he produces YouTube videos and he does tutorials and stuff. So I think he knows his stuff. I don't know how much translates from real life Blancpain to this.
Now I was just about to say we've had our first set of laps in, and fastest lap so far is Turismo Defi, and he's done a 2:05.8 on his first flying lap. And just checking over the laps.
Not completely unexpected. We knew he was fast in practice, but going right out there and proving that that's the pace he's got, and that's looking very, very good. Most of the laps so far are pretty close together.
Indeed. We also have best racer there with a 2:05.9. Yep. And then Shamar with a 2:06.4. Well, actually nicely lined up at the moment, and there that went away as anyone goes into the pits. And a thanks to Sam for kind words. That's something should always remember to say when someone tells you do a good job and it's entertaining.
Absolutely.
Then of course it's important to respond with a certain amount of cringiness. Anyways, as we mentioned, Defi before, just about a 10th up on best racer. Then it's McLaren in third so far. Still very close. And mind you that the track is just over 7 kilometers long.
Yeah, it's a long one.
It's a really long one.
With very few corners, so you can get a very big spread very quickly on the times. Seeing them this close together is in and of itself kind of impressive, and that's only the first lap done. The lap being 7 kilometers long will obviously mean that you won't have as many shots as you would normally in a 20-minute session. You have to get all the way around, and it's probably going to force them to stay out on the tires. I imagine there's not much time to do. Of course, we haven't mentioned anything about fuel yet.
No,
because we're running with an empty tank, which means we're running minimum weight all the way through and no fuel consumption. So everyone has the exact same weight, same handling car all the way through, which I kind of like at this level.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes for a less skewed competition, and you know that every lap can be a counting lap. You don't have to spend the time actually draining, and it's not a question of who can drain most fuel from the tank before going on a flying lap and setting that fastest lap. Because that basically, what that means if you have the fuel turned on is that you also have one lap that will be the fastest.
Yeah.
This one is in a bit more competitive spirit, where it's a bit more open all the way throughout. I like that.
It also leaves out a bit of the potential for drama with interference from slower cars and dealing with cars that are on out laps or in laps or whatever. You get rid of all of that, and everyone just kind of runs their max pace and might pit for tires, but that shouldn't affect their pace too heavily. So I think that's a clever move, especially running only a 20-minute session with this many competitors. I think I like it.
A good call indeed. We're on board with Visual Quinton, and Quinton is 8th so far, just 8.5 tenths down on pole time. So a tenth per guy. It's quite close. Even from top to the midfield so far. Of course, we could still see some faster times go through, even though the high 2:05s. This is some of the within the range of the faster time that we were expecting for the session today. Of course, it'll be a little bit difficult to compare lap times from this session to the race tomorrow because of the difference in fuel weight. As Quinton
just keeps it alive but wastes a lot of time and ruins the lap there, and he's back into the pits, gonna head back out and see if he can do better than that. He's gonna be hoping to, for sure. As we're getting very close to the half the session gone marker as well here.
Half the qualifying session gone, and
just a quick notice to anyone watching that hasn't heard what we said in the intro. This is the qualifying session for the 3-hour race that we're going to be broadcasting tomorrow. So if you want to make sure you don't miss any of the action there, make sure to subscribe to our channel and you won't miss anything.
That's a very good idea, because we have had such levels of excitement so far. Every time we've been broadcasting these IGTL races, we've been in for an absolute treat of a race, and that is, to a certain degree at least, self-explanatory given the level of competition here. Some of the absolutely best in the world, at least in the world of Gran Turismo Sport. We can say that much without.
I don't know if I can say this from a completely unbiased standpoint, but I have to say I feel like the two races we've broadcast so far have been some of the very, very, if not the best racing I've seen in GTSport. Because it's a baseline, everyone's pretty close, and it's a 3-hour race, and we've had very close racing by the end. Every time it's always come might be a bit of a heavy phrasing for two races of data, but it's come back together each time. So we're very, very excited about tomorrow.
Yeah.
Techny dropping in a note that he feels like he's made it exciting, and I'm gonna have to agree with him there.
Yeah, I think Techny's part in the excitement in a percentage part is...
Yeah, it's a big one.
It's a big one.
It's a big one.
It's a really big one.
No pressure for tomorrow, Techny, but let's hope we get some guys to bring in something close to the level of entertainment you've brought in so far.
Yeah, I mean, and this is just the thought, but if if everybody else starts to tip in with the same level of excitement, then our heads are going to blow off.
I mean, if you haven't seen it yet, I would recommend to anyone to go back for anything else than just to hear how close we are to exploding heads by the end there.
Yeah, because heads are very close to exploding indeed. I think we have been a little bit unlucky, and we're getting hit by the bug that every time we watch someone go into the pits and leave the track, we're stuck at his camera.
Yeah.
And that means that when we go out, we lose all the lap times in the leaderboard. So we'll do our best to keep you updated, but we might have to wait for the organizers to come with the official timing at the end of the session before we can give you the official times because of this bug. And we do, of course, apologize.
Very unfortunate. GTSport is amazing for broadcasting races, especially broadcasting them live. But we're still having quite a lot of issues with the timing boards in these live broadcasts, and especially when you try to create broadcasts from replays. Quite a bit of trouble there. Yeah. Hoping that PD sorts it out. They've done an amazing job building updates and choosing what to do so far. So fingers crossed they'll get that sorted soon.
Yeah. I mean, they fixed the replay function, and for that we are eternally grateful. And
praise be to Kaz.
Kaz, Lord Kaz above. Let's take a look with Skiller. He has 11.2 seconds of penalty.
He's gonna be quite annoyed at the timing of that if he watches this back.
Can I just say, look at the top 3 times at the moment, from what we can see at least.
If these times are right, it's going to be a bit of a replay of what we've seen the other times as well, where it doesn't really seem like it matters how long the track is, or if it's a 1 meg, or if it's different cars. It's going to be measured in the 1,000s
of a second.
If not only in the top 3, maybe even in the top 5, 6, 7.
Yeah,
it's shockingly close, the qualifying sessions in the IGTL. So get used to it.
Get used to it. Even Schumacher, he's under 4 tenths down. There's a bit of a gap from Mr. McLaren and Schumacher to the top 3 at the moment. Ooh. But then it's very close indeed between those two, and then Olegna.
This newer livery they've done for the AS Monaco racing team here seems to have a bit of a glam rock eyebrows going on.
Oh yeah,
which is pretty cool.
That's cool. There's a bit of Kiss.
Shouts out to my Kiss fans in the audience. Huge pointy tongue emoji.
It's definitely insane to have the first 3 so close between each other in a session, and we still have 5 minutes remaining of the qualifying session, so still anyone's game. I wouldn't rule out anyone basically from putting in a pole time here.
So we see David Perel improving, moving up to a virtual 8th.
Virtual 8th indeed.
Still very close, further down in the lap board as well. So anything can pretty much happen here.
Anything can happen. I mean, I took a notice earlier in the session that 8th place was 0.8 of a second behind. Now 8th place just a second ago, which was David Perel. Just a second ago we had a couple of guys move into the pits. That's why he's up in 6th now. But 8th place now, effectively David Perel. He is just under 0.6 of a second behind, so it's extremely close. And as also mentioned before, on such a long track, it isn't really the biggest of margins.
Nope.
Let's have a look with the GTR's Benjamin from the GTRS team, as he's about to complete a lap. And you know what? I think that could be a good one. Ah, no. And not even an improvement. But I haven't seen a run up to the line yet, so I thought that was a bit...
it was hard to tell if it was going to be... It's not exactly the track I've done the most racing on myself either. Did we do M3 race?
We did very much do. That's the only race I've done here as well. I've done another enduro event on a different layout, but that's the only time I've done this layout. So it's a long time ago.
Yep.
And personally, that race didn't go too well for me. The BFR Racing Supra, driven by BFR Supra, is 1.2 seconds down. I think he will be looking to improve upon his position. He's on a
certainly
flying lap.
trying to right now. He was about 100th off. 100th off. Pulls off that line. That's a tricky corner. We've seen a lot of guys have trouble with right there, putting it in the grass and hitting that barrier is something you see a lot. He's maintained the advantage he had from before. Just touches the wall on the braking there.
So we have somebody's asking us to Sam is asking us to come with a prediction of who we think will come with the best time. Well, being that Defi was quickest in practice, and he's been quickest so far,
he's gonna be the safe bet.
I'm gonna go for the safe vanilla choice of Defi, and say that he's gonna put his car on pole.
I feel like that's gonna be too easy. I'm gonna go with Skiller. He was pushing early on and seems to have had a bit of a unfortunate run-in during the session here, but I think he might just put it together right at the end.
So there you have it. Two bets from us. Give us your bets in chat if you have another opinion or anyone else you'd just like to see on pole.
Meanwhile, Supra is doing an amazing job of improving on his time, as we said he would be trying to. Not much of an exciting prediction there, but let's see what it's going to be. It's looking like he's going to be improving by perhaps even closer to half a second than anything else.
Very much so.
Predictions!
And that put him 10th on the grid so far. 0.7 of a 10th second down, so a proper close field, as we've been mentioning. And it's very close also in between some of these standings. You see less of a 10th. That seems to be more the norm than anything else. I just thought that Skiller had taken the pole position, but it's just Defi having been into the pits now. Should I also just say that there's just over a minute left? So not that long to go.
No, everyone should be on the last laps here. We saw Defi go into the pits, and he's not going to be able to start another lap, so his time is going to stick. This is going to be Skiller's second to last attempt. He's going to have one more flyer, but let's see what this one turns out to be. Not as impressive as he was hoping for, but he is going to have one more try. We have best racer here on a virtual best time coming through that sector. This is going to be an interesting one.
This one might be the lap to watch. Let's follow the Italian as he comes through the last sector. This double left-hander, then a right sweeper, and then a left sweeper afterwards. It's a very fast sector. This last one,
very well swept this part of the track.
Indeed, he gets it just
lost
right.
A tiny bit of pace coming into the next timing bridge there, but he might be able to pick it back up. That looked a bit nervous. Looked like he had to correct his line a little bit.
I think he lost out. How
wrong I am. Not wrong.
Not wrong at all. He did lose out a little bit. Choma now, as we're following the Frenchman around what could be his final lap. It is, of course, his final lap, as race organizer Kenny has just called out.
Kenny the Marshal.
Kenny the Marshal. That's almost a South Park joke. Anyway, Choma, can he do something on this final lap? We didn't get his sector time before, I think, so I'm intrigued by it. Actually, it could look fast.
Certainly, the last few corners have been fast, and I think with my limited experience, that isn't going to be good.
What was that?
Which is going to be really easy to call as he lifts.
Yeah. Why did he lift there? Did he have a...
Because lights to flag is a boring way to win a race. I don't know.
Just look at those 32 thousandths of a second that's separating Turismo Defi and TX3 Skiller.
He's pushing it all the way to the grass because he knows he has to make up a little bit, and he's not going to be able to, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, that's close indeed. That is close indeed, but not close enough for TX3 Skiller.
Oh, and GT Alex doing the better job of the commentators here.
That's actually
mentioning the most essential detail of all of this qualifying that we haven't mentioned at all the way through. This is the qualifying for the full grid, the top 5 places here. That's going to be Duffy, Skiller, Schumacher, McLaren and Olegna, they're going to take part in a Super Pole qualifying tomorrow. Well, their teams are, because it will be the Stint 1 drivers that will participate in the Super Pole.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm quite sure.
Probably.
It is. Anyways, I have to correct you on it because Best Racer was in the pits. So we couldn't see him.
In the pits.
And he is, of course. Oh God, they're close. Best Racer is 2. No, he's 8/10ths down on Skiller in 3rd position. Then Schumacher is 4th, of course, and it's McLaren 5th. So it's Duffy, Skiller, Best Racer, Schumacher, and McLaren going through to the Super Pole tomorrow. And then Tichney also mentioned earlier that he is going to be starting the race. So no Tichney finish.
No Tichney finish.
So we're gonna this time around though,
which is maybe a bit unfortunate, maybe not. He's certainly part of a strong duo, so it might not make any difference at all. But he was famous for those strong finishes. Let's see how he is at creating race starts.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, just to say that we have everything in order with the qualifying times as you see them. So what you're seeing now is going to be the grid, and that also just goes to show some of the closeness in between some of these drivers. It's very, very close.
On a 7-kilometer long track, this is really, really close, ladies and gentlemen. There's only about 15 turns on a 7-kilometer track. So it's not a lot of variation you're able to have. It's only a few exits we're talking about.
I mean, from 6th and then 7th, 8th and 9th, that's Olegna, Nico Ardi, Quinton and David Perel. And they're all within just over a 10th of a second. That's extremely impressive. Then just under a 10th from David Perel. Then in 10th, it's Lucky from the EP Racing team. Then BFR Supra within a 10th, within actually half a 10th almost of Lucky. And then GTRS Benjamin with a 2:06.8. Well, it's just about a second from the pole time. And
we're not allowed to show you the last of the runners.
I don't think there is any more runners. I just think it was 12.
Only 12.
I think there is only 12. I think it was 12 all the way through. If I'm not completely mistaken, actually.
Anyway, that was the qualifying. That was the qualifying session for tonight. Done and completed. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for the 3-hour race. Subscribe to make sure you don't miss the launch of the broadcast. Hit the like button if you want to. If you don't.
Just don't. No,
we hope to see you all tomorrow. Later on this evening, in about an hour's time.
An hour, a bit more than an hour.
In a bit more than an hour. It's going to be the promotional race for tomorrow's main event of the evening.
Which we are, of course, going to be taking part in once more, just like we did last time round with the Caymans.
Yep.
This time we are going to be driving the Toyota 86.
Yep, and we're going to do it because we're at Dirten's place. We only have one rig ready to go. We're going to do it as a split seat. So coming into the pits somewhere around, we're going to switch drivers. We don't know who will qualify. We don't know who will start yet. We're going to work that out before we return. But if you feel like watching us make absolute fools of ourselves in the promotional race, make sure to tune in about an hour.
It's gonna be at that point I think it's gonna be entertaining.
And thank you, Sam, for not asking us to make a prediction for tomorrow, because
it's too much.
That's not one of my favorite ways to embarrass myself. So thank you for sparing us for that. And thank you for being active in the chat as well. That goes to everyone. It's been a pleasure having you along.
Very much so.
One of our shorter live broadcasts, so an absolute pleasure to see as many guys tuning in as we saw. That was very cool.
Certainly was. So yeah, as we're just looking forward to seeing. No, we're looking forward to seeing.
We're looking forward to seeing you in about an hour, and if not in about an hour, certainly tomorrow it will be one for the history books. We have current real life Spa record lap record holders is what I meant to say. We have the finest races in all of the land. And we have the shittiest broadcasters.
Not the shittiest broadcasters on YouTube.
Do you feel like there's worse?
Yeah. I've seen worse than us.
Okay, there might be worse, but certainly not top tier. But join us anyway.
Join us anyways. And so I'm not gonna say the big goodbye seance, but I'm gonna say laters. So long. It's been a pleasure.
See you soon.
See you
About
soon, guys.
an hour. We're gonna do some practice.
Yeah, and get some food. Thanks for joining in, and ciao.
Yeah, and yeah.
I'm sorry, I had a flu all week, and my voice is...
Dude, just finish the stream already.
I'm trying to.